Hello and welcome back to How to Homeschool in High School, episode number 20. I'm your host, Nadine Laffer, and today we are discussing all things 11th grade. So it is already the third week of July. I honestly cannot believe this. And we are on the third week of our series called How to Homeschool, where we walk grade by grade through high school, and we have guests on who share their experience and their encouragement and their curriculums for each and every grade. And the trend of this encouragement and inspiration continues this week with our 11th grade roundtable discussion. I am so excited because this is the grade I actually graduated from in May. So this is very fresh on my mind as well. So I get to chime in a little more than normal. And I have two amazing people on this podcast episode, and shout out to them for sharing so much of their experiences and all their advice that they have for rising juniors for next year. A little bit about them. So we have Audrey, who actually was featured on an episode prior called Homeschool Entrepreneur, and as the title states, she is a homeschool entrepreneur. She started her Etsy business. She makes incredible clay earrings. They're like literally works of art. Most of them are food related, which is so super fun. My sister owns a pair of sushi earrings that she just absolutely adores. They're so fun, so you have to go check them out. I have linked her page below. It's called Sunrise Hill Boutique, so make sure to just check her stuff out. It is really incredible. And we also have Hannah, who is a new guest, and her sister was actually featured on the 9th grade episode. And Hannah is also a homeschool entrepreneur. Her Etsy business just started in June. She makes amazing canvas paintings and sells them on Etsy. Her shop is called Gift of Grace Art, and I also linked it below, so check out her work. It is really stunning as well. All those girls are super talented, and I'm so blessed to be able to speak with them today. As a disclaimer for all of these episodes, there is no one way to high school. That is the goal, is just to highlight that in a unique way by having so many different voices share so many different experiences. This is not a step-by-step guide to 11th grade. This is simply two students sharing their experience and just a real life experience of a homeschooler in 11th grade and what they did, and hopefully it will inspire you as you move on into the upcoming school year. So that is a little intro to this episode, but enough of me talking. Let's get right into it. All right, thank you both so much for being on today. I'm so happy this worked out. So could you do us a favor? I know, Audrey, you've been on before, but could you just do another little intro? Just tell us who you are, and then how long you've been homeschooled, and what grade you're currently going into. You're going into.
So I'm Audrey. I'm going into 12th grade, and I started homeschooling when I was 4. I started with kindergarten, so I skipped preschool, but I've been homeschooled my whole life.
I'm Hannah, and I've been homeschooled all my life, and I'm going to be a senior, which is terrifying to think about saying it out loud.
I know, yeah, I feel you. This is a fun episode for me because this is where I am right now, so I get to chime in a little bit on the conversation. But like this whole little series on the grades, my guests that I have on are rising or just finished the grade we're going to talk about. So you guys are really fresh with this. You kind of know remember what you did more clearly. So the goal, as I always say, the goal of these episodes is not to tell you exactly what to do for each grade, but just to give you an idea of how people have done it. And the more guests I have on, the more perspectives you get on the grade, and just see how unique they are for each individual. So that is the purpose. It's like a little loose structure to give you some ideas and hopefully some encouragement. So my favorite question I get to ask is, did you enjoy your junior year?
Yes.
Yes, I think so. It was a growing year. But
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah.
I feel like it was the most busy year I've had so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That too.
It was different for me because this year I wasn't in a co-op, which I have done for several years in the past. Well, wait, I was in the co-op.
Yeah,
You were
never
in the
mind.
co-op.
I was
You
in
were
the
in
co-op.
what?
I was in a different co-op. I wasn't in CC.
You were in, which is
So I had a lot more flexibility with my school this year. So that was fun.
Do you do Plants and Pillars as well, Hannah?
I do.
Okay.
I've been doing Plants and Pillars since the 3rd grade, and we took a year off, I want to say 5th grade,
Okay.
but somewhere like that. But yeah,
Cool.
a lot of good kids there.
And just so we make connections here, you, Hannah, are Rachel's older sister.
I
And
am.
Rachel was in the 9th grade
Yes.
episode. If you have not listened to that, make sure to go back and check that out, 'cause it's a really great episode. Did you have any concerns going into 11th grade? Anything that was like new for you that you were concerned about? Or I know it's kind of the middle of high school, so it makes more sense to ask like the 9th graders because they're going into high school.
Yeah.
So it's not as like they're. I think if I had to answer this question, I would say dual enrollment because this is my first year of dual
that's
enrollment.
true.
Yeah. Same.
So
Yeah, I think the only 2 new things for me were dual enrollment and then taking the SAT, which is a kind of nerve-wracking experience.
Yeah.
So I was a little nervous about that, but
and you did that what beginning of June, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I did a dual enrollment class with Liberty.
Nice.
I wasn't really nervous about going into junior year.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But, you know, there's always that nervousness of what's this year going to be like and like trying new things in that sense. But yeah, it was a year where I got to explore more because I felt more confident. So I felt like putting myself out there more.
Yeah, that's really good. I would relate to that. I felt like this was a year where I was more confident for some reason. I don't know why, but I guess
Because we are veterans when it comes to this.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like also like the end is encroaching on me and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, I have to do all these things now while I still have time. So I think I was feeling a little bit of that pressure this year, if that is pressure. I don't know. Yeah, so one of the main amazing things about homeschooling is you're able to customize to fit, you know, your interests and your schooling a little bit. So before we answer that question, why don't we just talk about what you did for 11th grade? So like, were you at co-ops? Do you do dual enrollment? What classes did you take? And then was there anything you did on the side, like outside of the co-ops?
Yeah, despite my previous comment, I was actually in co-op this year. I was in class with Hannah, and we had, anatomy, government,
and home ec.
Yes.
Which it was healthy home ec. So
yeah, it was kind of nutrition.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
They were all really fun classes, and I enjoyed them a lot. And then outside of that, for math, I did, like, personal finances, and then... What else did I do? I did a literary criticism course the first semester for writing, and then the second semester I did a dual enrollment class, which you were in, Nadine, right?
That was super fun.
So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a good experience. Yeah, and then just worked on studying for the SAT.
Okay.
It was a lot of new math for me.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of work there, but I think it was worth it. It made me a lot more confident going into it.
Yeah,
so.
for sure.
So yeah, I did co-op with Plants and Pillars, which is just an amazing group of kids.
I keep hearing that, like Gracie and Rachel were totally agreeing with that when it comes to Plants and Pillars.
Beautiful community. But yeah, and then I did Intro to Graphic Design online with Liberty, which was...
Oh, wow. That sounds really cool.
It was awesome. It was so good. And I had a friend who had done that too, so she's in college now and she's guiding me through that. And then math, I did record keeping with Rod and Staff. So it was a more practical math.
Yes.
My mom said that technically I could have done Algebra 2, but she wanted me to do something more practical. Yeah, and I don't know what we did for literature, but I had to read Romeo and Juliet and The Hiding Place, which both were pretty good. I like The Hiding Place better, though.
Fitting Place is
understandable.
A deep book.
Yeah.
So it sounds like both of you guys had the similar idea for math, kind of on the practical side, which is really nice because a lot of people get frustrated with math because they feel like they'll never use it.
Right. Yeah.
So that is a really good way to like actually see how this is actually practical, and I'm sure you learned a lot in both of your classes.
And actually, so like Audrey has the Etsy shop, and then she inspired me to do an Etsy shop.
Yes.
And so I started that, and my mom said that this would be a good chance to use what I learned in record keeping for the Etsy shop. But
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I cannot love that more. It's like the ability to do those things to help you in, you know, your pursuits.
Yeah, you're using what you learned.
Yes.
And it feels like it wasn't a waste of time.
Exactly. You can see the fruit of your work that you put into your classes. So we're interviewing 2 homeschool entrepreneurs. This is awesome. So and then I guess I will talk about what I did. So I think what we've gotten from both of you is that 11th grade was kind of a mix of a bunch of different things. Some dual enrollment, some co-ops, some like online classes, some books, regular like textbooks. That's really cool. I feel like once you get there here to 11th grade, you kind of know what you're interested in, and you kind of know you know, different resources, so you kind of just mix them all together and create your 11th grade year, which I think is super fun, honestly. So again, that kind of leads, you kind of talked about this already, touched upon it. How did you customize your 11th grade year to fit your passions or what you're interested in or what you might do in the future as well?
Well, personally, I did the online class with Liberty.
Yes.
Because I love art and I love storytelling.
Yes. Yeah.
But
you're really good at it.
It's just something that is a passion of mine. And so my mom was like, well, hey, you can do this online at home, and you can, like, for the online classes, you can do it on your own time throughout the week.
Exactly.
So you're not like, you have to be here today, you have to be here today, you have to do this. It's just, you have this amount of work, do it. And it's a lot like co-op as far as the workload goes. So for me, there was that. And then end of the co-op year, I got to do, so I like animation. And so I was doing an animation on my own just to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
And my mom said, you can get a partial credit for this if you want, but you have to show it in co-op on the last day in the open house. I was like, okay, I think I can do that. And I did. And it was a lot of fun. It was just like a rough animation, like 30 seconds, but it took me 30 to 40 hours to get it done.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it was something that my mom challenged me to do. And that's something I enjoy, is that it wasn't just an assignment I was given and I had to learn to love it. It was something that I was currently doing that I had chosen to do and I was really enjoying doing. And then my mom challenged me to say, do you think you could finish this? And it gave me a deadline and it gave me an opportunity to share it. And it was really fun, personally. That is
a really, really neat. And then now you started when did you start your Etsy business? What is it, at the end of the school year?
Well, I started it, I started looking into it at the end of the school year, like after track season.
Okay, yeah.
And then I just got it really up and running last week because there was technical issues and stuff. But, yeah.
Well, I've never got to meet anyone who's that interested in animation before. So that is, and I love to watch, because you posted it on Facebook, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was
so
incredible.
Cool. I don't know how you did that.
I know. Yeah. And I watched behind the scenes on, Pixar animations, and it takes them forever to get a few sequences done. So that was, it's a lot of work, but it was really cool.
It was a lot of fun to do.
And I love how you're able to to actually do it in your school day and in your school year and count it as a credit. It's just so awesome. I love when that happens. So Audrey, you want to share? Do you have anything you want to share?
Well, the only way I can really think of that I kind of customized part of my school to fit what I'm going to do in the future is taking my dual enrollment course.
Yes.
Because that's a college credit out of the way for, it's just a writing 101 credit that you pretty much would need for anything.
Yes.
So it was just practical for me to do, especially because I want to go into communications, and that's something that that's a required credit.
Yes.
So, I have that one checked off, which is nice.
Yeah.
So,
really, it will prepare you and make, relieve some of the workload off your college years, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of different ways that you can kind of personalize your education. Either the way of just pursuing your interests, or actually using and combining that with getting things done to help you in college or trade school, whatever you want to pursue in the future. So that's really awesome. And then I know you're planning on doing a bunch more of that in your senior year. Yeah. Kind of crossing off some of those classes. Really cool. So, question here. Now, I don't know how much you actually did this year, but how did you choose the curriculums you used? Now, you guys are in co-op, so I'm sure that a lot of it was chosen for you, right? In that sense?
So the moms, at the end of the school year, they'll get together, or maybe it's during the summer that they get together. They get together at some point.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, this is what we haven't done for a while. This is what our kids need.
Yes.
And they talk about it, and they together, all the moms decide what classes they're going to do. So like for next year, Plants and Pillars is going to have a drama class. Ooh. And we're going to get to do a play, like a big production.
Yeah.
We've done a couple others, but it's been a little while. And that's something that the seniors want to do before they graduate. And so like some of the moms got together and say, hey, can we make this work, since this is our seniors' desires? They really want to do this. And then I know like our co-op, Plants and Pillars, is based in science. It's like a science co-op. So that's why we did anatomy. And we usually have a science class like that. Like I know one year we had biology. So just different stuff like that. But, and then for math, for me, for different classes, for me at home, I choose whatever my mom gives me. Because it's like she structures it based off of our individual learning styles. So like I'm what you call a tactile learner, which I learn better hands-on. So she tries to find curriculums that have more hands-on stuff that I can write, I can do it. It's not just you're reading about it. For instance, like with languages, she asked me like, what language do you want to learn to do? And I said, I want to try Spanish. And we got like 5 lessons into it, and I realized I really don't want to do Spanish.
Okay, yeah.
And so we stopped that, and then she said, how about you go off on your own? There's this guy on YouTube that does sign language, because she knew I was interested in sign language. So that's what I did instead. And I switched. So it's structured for our individual learning types, which I love about homeschooling so much.
So you will have different for not only like every family, but also every student, and every all your siblings will have different experiences.
Exactly.
They're really neat. Do you have anything?
Actually, my mom pretty much chooses our curriculum, so I don't really she gave me an option for my writing class for the first semester. She was like, do you want to do literary criticism or something else? I don't remember what it was, like the history of literature or something. So I chose between the two, but other than that, she pretty much has it all figured out, which is nice.
Yes.
It's less pressure for me to have to figure out.
Yeah, but your mom's been doing it for so long now. She understands how
she knows where to look for curriculum and stuff. So.
And then I'm sure you have some hand in choosing like the dual enrollment classes that you do. Or is that mostly your mom too?
Well, we kind of work together on it. Like we just figure out which classes can transfer to either of the colleges I'm looking at.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, if we find one that would work for either, then it's a good option. So. Yeah.
Are you planning, Hannah, on doing any more dual enrollment classes? Was that like a good experience?
It was a really good experience. I loved that class. So yeah, this year I'm going to do another class based in graphic design.
Yeah.
I forget. I think it's something with 2D design or something like that.
Cool.
So I'm really excited.
Really... And are you going to go through Liberty again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of colleges are doing them now, like the online dual enrollment classes. So
I think it's since COVID.
Yes.
It really
Yes.
grew in popularity, which I'm not mad about. It was
it's
nice. A really great way to learn.
Yeah. And
It
it's kind of more self-paced.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you have things you need to be done on certain days, but most of the time, if you have something big you need to do, you can work ahead or work later. So
Yeah.
Oh, this is another fun question. What was the best experience you had in 11th grade?
I really loved doing our mock trials in our government class.
Oh.
That was a ton of fun.
All right, can you tell us a bit about what those are? Because I didn't know what you guys were talking about the first time I heard about them.
Well, we did Supreme Court trials.
Okay.
Which were, like, we'd be separated into 3 groups. And
Okay.
so, like, a few of us would be judges, Supreme Court justices. And then we'd be what are the names of the 2 sides? Now I can't
We
remember.
learned a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds
And
like
We
it.
forgot
retained-
everything, but we learned.
It's in there somewhere.
It's in there.
somewhere.
Yeah. So we'd each have a side to argue.
Okay.
And it would just be, like, sort of like a debate. But then the justices would have to figure out what they, who they're going to rule in favor of. And then write
Right.
an essay, like, explaining why they chose.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is really neat. What parts were you guys?
We actually, we like kind of cycled through them. So
Oh.
each student was given a group.
Okay.
And so I forget what group I was on. Was I in a group with you?
I think you were in my group.
Okay, so I was on a group with Audrey and a couple other people. And then the teacher would say, okay, this is your assignment for this week. And then we would shift to the next one, and we circled through all of them.
So you got experience with all of them. Did you have a favorite?
I think being justices was pretty cool, to be honest.
That sounds fun. That sounds really neat.
Was that when we had the meat hammer for the mallet?
What?
You remember that?
Oh, is it one of those meat smashes?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We had a meat tenderizer as
yeah.
Yeah.
I got
As
to
our
hold
gavel.
it. I felt so intimidating. It was awesome.
That is so awesome. It does look like
It was
one of those.
huge,
Yeah, but it's
though.
spiky on the end.
I know,
so it's
yeah.
better.
You could really do some damage.
You just lean back and you're like
Yeah.
kind of just messing with it and staring everybody down. Yeah.
Very intimidating. That's awesome.
Yeah. We had mock Senate, too, which was really fun. Because I got to be the president pro tem, and so I would like
Audrey was the glue.
call the meetings to
She
order.
was the glue that held everybody together.
It was fun.
That sounds like a very fun class and something that is unique to a co-op experience because you have
Yeah.
a teacher and a group and you're able to do that. That is really cool.
Yeah. And Mrs. Hartman would just kind of sit back and let us do it. She wouldn't be actively telling us what we had to do. It was just, she's like, all right, set up for Senate. And then we'd all get in our groups and get our folders out. And then, like, if anybody had any questions, we'd just ask her. But really, she was just sitting in the background watching us do it.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And we had some really great conversations in that class,
did,
too.
yeah.
About, like,
What's
just
right
about
and what's wrong. And
morals, really.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, that's
really
awesome.
interesting. So that whole class, I think, was my favorite part of the school year.
I would love to watch that. Like, I just want to be a fly on the wall and watch you guys debate stuff.
There were some pretty crazy Congress meetings, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
High school
Not
Congress meetings.
too professional.
That's pretty. But they're fun though.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys learned a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did.
I think it was harder for some people. Just, again, different learning styles. Because, like, a lot of the workload, like, again, she would sit in the background and watch us do it. So if somebody wasn't catching on,
Okay.
it was a little harder. But then, you know, for people like that, we had people like Audrey to balance out. Not singling you out. I'm just saying, like, people who understood it better, and
Yeah.
then we'd get
Yeah.
together and we would explain it to each other.
Oh, right.
So-
That's really nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have people who know what they're doing and then they can help you out.
Yeah.
That's something that we don't normally get as a homeschooler, so having that
Right,
community.
yeah. And that's the best part, I think, about getting to learn together in a small group. Is
Yeah.
you know everybody, you're comfortable, and
Exactly.
you can ask for help if you need help. Either on, I don't know, what was it, the discussion threads on Canvas.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
just, you know, like individually, hey, do you understand this? Because I did that for you a lot. I kind of used you. I'm sorry.
What? No. It was fine.
All right. So, best experiences. You also did sports. And I know you guys do basketball.
Yeah, Rachel and I
Yes.
do. Yeah.
So, is that the only sport you guys do? Basketball and track?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I tried soccer when I was in 3rd grade, and it was a lot of running. And then, of course,
Yeah.
later I went and did track. So, you know,
Yeah.
I make
So now you
complete
should
sense.
come back to soccer.
So, and Audrey, you do soccer as well.
Yeah, I did soccer and track.
Nice.
So-
And how were those experiences for you guys?
Oh, I love our basketball team. They're very considerate girls, and you know how like you expect in a game to have like, you know, you have the good players and you have the players who just sit on the bench. Well, in our team, we have players who sit on the bench who are encouragers, who are the helpers, and we have those out playing who are encouraging those who are younger, who might not know as much. They're helping them learn in practice, and then they're getting encouraged from the bench by those people in the games. And that's something I love. Our coach, he is just he's one of the best. But yeah, he always stresses the fact that whenever you're playing basketball, it's not about the game at all. He doesn't care if we win or lose, but he wants us to make sure that we are being lights in the dark world and showing God's love to each other and to the opposite team. And that's something he says, like, you know, this is a game. This is just something we do for fun, but this is a time that we get to come together and, you know, be a team.
A witness, yeah.
Yeah, a witness. And it's so great because then the pressure is off, but then the pressure's also on.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, but it feels like it's a better calling.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not here
higher
to play a
calling.
sport. I'm here to, you know, be a witness and be a light. And it's, I don't know, it's one of the best experiences for me.
That does sound like
Yeah.
a wonderful experience. That's really neat. I love when we are called to higher things and we can use normal things to, you know.
Yeah, they're really
light.
just vessels
Yeah.
to spread God's
great
word
perspective.
and love. Yeah.
So, and what about you, Audrey? How did you enjoy your sports this year?
Well, I will say starting a sport in 11th grade is probably not the best idea.
Well, yeah. It probably is hard.
Yeah. Everyone else was a lot more experienced on the soccer team. And I could barely kick a ball. So, yeah, it was a little bit rough in that I think I took myself too seriously. Like, no one else really cared that I was so bad. It was just a really fun experience, though, to be part of the team.
Yeah.
Because they are just, a lot of them are, like, the same kids on the basketball
Track
team.
and basketball,
And
yeah.
we have the same coach as Hannah has for basketball. And so, like, it was really fun. It's a great community and very encouraging. So I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
With that group, with our sports community, it feels like really you're coming to play a game, but at the end of the day, you're just there to have fun, and everybody's there to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
it's so encouraging. Like, everyone is just, even if you're beating yourself up for doing something badly, like, no one else cares. They're
Yeah.
just cheering you on. And
Yeah.
it's really fun.
I think it's one of the greatest experiences is to be part of a team because
Yeah.
it's something that you guys have in common that is on a deeper level than just, oh, you know, I know him from or I know her from.
Yeah.
Like, you're a team, and that's I think that's really important to have.
Such a unique community, and we're so blessed.
Oh
with
my
the Plants and
goodness.
Pillars. program.
Yeah, well,
Like,
I was, so I told your mom this upstairs, but I was sitting the other day and I was looking outside and I was seeing the beauty that was outside my window, like the green of the trees, the blue of the sky. It was gorgeous. And I was just thinking to myself, God, I see this same beauty, but in my friendships and in the community that you've given me. And it's his signature. It's a beautiful, it's a beauty that is very subtle and used in different ways, but it's the same beauty.
Yes.
And it's awesome. It's so cool.
I love that so much. I love that so much. I'm going to go back and listen to that again. That's awesome. Yeah. I love, we've been so blessed. Like every day during the track season, I was just like, we're so blessed. When we come home from a hard meet, I'm like, we're so blessed with such an amazing, encouraging, not only just team, but also coaches. Like they're it's just an amazing. We're beyond blessed. Yeah. So great experiences both in school, in the classroom, and then also in sports teams. That's awesome. So I don't think we're gonna have much to say on this, but was there anything that you felt like you missed out on this year? I mean, it's totally fine to say no.
I don't really feel like there was anything.
Yeah, I can't really say I missed out on anything either.
We really all three of us had really amazing 11th grade experiences. I think
it was a very full year.
A lot of times we focus a lot on what we're missing out, what we might be missing out, and then we forget that we have so much that we get to do as homeschoolers. So I love how you guys were able to highlight all those things and like really show how amazing that experience was for you. And we're always technically missing out on things because we're not in public school, but we're also able to do so many things.
Right.
Really cool things.
It's a community that, well, it's a way of learning, I feel, personally, on a deeper level. Because you're not sitting in class being given things to do, and then you're supposed to grow to learn, to love them, and to learn about them. With, like, for me, with art, I just have grown to love art on my own. And my mom has seen that and then has fashioned my schooling based off of that love. So, like for the animation, for the dual enrollment, it's something that is specific to what I grew to love, and then she kind of worked around that. Yeah. And I don't know. It's so cool to get to do.
Yeah. And you even found that passion without necessarily having an art teacher all your life. Yeah. Yeah. So that's also really neat. So the next question, it's about socialization, which another commonly asked question. So I'm trying to get different perspectives on that. How did you guys be social this year? and you guys answered this really wonderfully already with your co-op and with your sports. So, yeah.
Yeah. That was basically it. There's but then again, like outside of that, like Audrey, you have a bonfire after track season. Yeah. And
grad parties.
Parties.
Oh, lots of those.
So many.
We had like 7 or 8 this year. I forget.
I feel like every week we have like at least 3.
Not really.
Wow.
And then church activities. I know some girls in the past years have gotten together to go swing dancing and Regency dances, which are always tons of fun. Honestly, I felt like this year was super busy. And I don't know if that was the way for everybody else, but it was just, man, there's a lot going on, and I was waiting for summer to come. Yeah. Because there was just so much to do. But that's just it. There was a lot to do. We got to do a lot of things. So
I agree with everything. That was very well stated, Hannah.
It was.
Okay, so yes, the next question is, what was one thing you learned about yourself through homeschooling this year? It doesn't have to be specifically this year. It could have been over the last 3 years of high school.
I've found that I love hanging out with little kids. Kids who, specifically kids who aren't in high school and are younger in middle school. Yeah. And and then on back. Because we have these 2 little friends. I think they're 4 and 7.
Okay.
And these girls shock me at how smart they are. And I wouldn't know that unless I would have conversations with them.
Yeah.
But they are just, they love to come up to me and Rachel. Actually, their mom said that they would play Rachel and Hannah at home, which, to me is
so
much.
That is so cute.
So cool. But they're just, they're smart and they're cute, and like the one girl's more outgoing, the other one's more matter of fact, and it's fun to watch them and to hang out with them.
Yeah.
And I find myself really desiring to hang out with them and to talk with them, because I found that even though they're a lot younger than me, they are just some of the coolest kids I've ever known. And like with their friends too, and just getting to know them.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
That is really fun.
Well, I was just thinking, one thing I've learned about myself this year, and I mean in 10th grade too, is I actually like to take the lead.
I've seen
in
that. I've seen
groups and like in classes with discussions or different projects we have. I actually like to take the lead, and that's something that I never would have done in like middle school. I was so much more shy. But yeah, I've discovered I like explaining things to people, teaching people, like helping them understand what's expected in an assignment.
Well, like how I was saying with the government class, you were like the one who understood things, and you understanding things, you helped us all to understand it better. Like, that's one of the reasons why I was one of the many reasons. Let me clarify. One of the many reasons why I was so sad that I found out you were not going to be there next year, because I was like, Audrey's the one who's always got my back when I don't understand something. And she, and she's good at explaining and, so yeah, one of the many reasons.
I know, I'm going to miss it next year too, but
yeah. We'll like FaceTime in class or something.
And just be like, Audrey,
totally work.
Do you understand what any of this means?
Yeah, really.
That is a really cool lesson that you learned about yourself, Audrey. That's really fun. Sometimes it just takes experiences to, you don't even know what you're capable of. And then you find out that you're like, oh, I can do this, It's really cool. It's really cool. Do you have any advice for anyone going into 11th grade? I know it's kind of, it's easier when you're 9th grade or 12th grade, the big, seemingly larger years, but do you have anything that you would tell people, or homeschooling in general? How about we lose the 11th grade limiter, just homeschooling in general?
Well, I've learned this past year, and I wrote this down, so it might sound like I'm reading something, because I am.
That's okay.
I've learned that I love to learn. And whenever I'm not learning, I kind of feel lost. And I don't know, it's a lot of fun. So my advice would be, use the time to explore what you love, try new things, and enjoy the process of learning. Because this is the time when you get to learn about yourself. You get to start to understand what you do love, what you don't love. Some of that means you need to go out and try things that are a little scary. For instance, online classes with a college. That is intimidating. But you'll find that you might really enjoy it, or you might find that you don't enjoy it. And that's the only way you'll learn about yourself. And like my dad said that he loved learning in school. And he wishes he could go learn more. He wishes he could go back to school, basically, because he loved learning. That's
such a wonderful problem to have. You wish you could learn more.
Really. And that's what's sad to me. It's like, oh, high school's almost over. I'm not going to get to learn anything. Oh, wait, there's college.
Yeah.
So, it's a blessing. And I think it's something that people can take for granted. So
for sure.
Try to enjoy it, and try to use your time wisely, so you can learn about yourself. Like, you're not just learning about the world, you're learning about yourself. So.
Yes, especially when you're still figuring out what you want to do.
Exactly.
You get to try everything.
Yeah.
And see what you like and what you don't like. And developing that love of learning that you can take with you for the rest of your life. Yeah. It's just so wonderful. I love all the Einstein quotes and everything, that I didn't discover anything new. I just love learning or something like that. Yeah. And And that's, I mean, it's the mindset of amazing people who have done amazing things as they just continue to learn about themselves and about the world around them. So cultivating a love of learning, number one goal of school. It should be the number one goal. So what about you, Audrey? Do you have anything to share?
Well, my advice is more specifically for 11th grade.
Yeah.
First of all, like the practical advice I would give is
practical advice is very important.
Jump on the dual enrollment bandwagon
because
Join
us.
It's becoming much more accessible, like you
Yes.
guys were saying. And it's a really great opportunity to like get some college credits for a lot cheaper and more easily, you know, like, so I would do that. And also in 11th grade, a lot of people are going to start asking you what you're going to do when you get out of high school.
Oh, yeah.
And
that
no
question.
one likes being asked that question. So I would just remember, like, you don't have to have all the answers in 11th grade. Like, you're not...
It's not the magic
The end
grade,
of 11th grade isn't the end of
your
high
life.
school. It's not, exactly, not the end of your life. So take some time to, like Hannah said, think about what you love and what you want to do in the future, but don't feel like you have to have it all together by the end of this year just because people are asking you about it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that question. Sometimes it's like, oh, I just don't know yet.
Yeah, I know.
And my mom says all the time, like, I'm still figuring out what I want to do.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, it's an every season sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I get caught up in the permanence of the seemingly, you know, quotes, permanence of the decision, like
Yeah,
what you want to do in
exactly.
college.
Oh, yeah.
But it really isn't. Like my music teacher, she majored in biomedical engineering and then she became a music teacher and she opened her own studio.
Yeah.
Like, even though she went to college for that specific thing and she loves it, she just set with her life, the next step was something completely different.
Right.
So, you know, it's really a season by season, year by year thing.
And it's something that you can, like, for me, like, I pray about it. Like, I have these passions. I have these loves. But I want to do what God wants me to do. It's not, God, I have these gifts. Help me to use these gifts. It's, God, show me where you want me to go.
Yes.
Something my dad said the other day. Show me where you want me to go and help me to learn to be that. Instead of saying, I'm already this, show me how I can use this to the best of my abilities. Like, you know, it's, you know, wherever you go, you're shining. Like in basketball, you're shining, you're being a light. I'm not the best at basketball. I'm actually pretty terrible at basketball, but I love going and being at basketball because it's a community, it's a close friend group, and it's a place where I can be a light.
Really,
I can shine. So, yeah, it's...
You know, sometimes that speaks louder than the people who are absolutely amazing at basketball.
Yeah.
Just the encouragement and the support and everything. It's such an important part of the team. Like, without people like you, it's just not complete, you know?
Right, yeah.
And it's such a support that they would be missing. So encouragement is... Sometimes I feel like underrated, but it's so necessary.
It really isn't. It's,
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be,
It shouldn't be, yeah. It's really such an important part of anything, whether that's a classroom or on, you know, a sports team or anything.
Hanging out with siblings even.
Yeah, yeah, just talking with people.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for sharing all of that and sharing your experiences and sharing, you know, what you learned. And the goal of these episodes is simply to encourage people and to show like we're all in this together and we all struggle with similar things. So I think that's really important, is the connection part of it. So thank you guys so much for all of that. And then the big question, will you continue homeschooling in 12th grade? Why or why not? Drum roll.
No, never. No. Yeah.
Who says we're doing 12th grade?
Oh, yeah. Audrey and I are going to go
out.
live out in the woods for the rest of our lives.
Exactly. We have big plans for our futures.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are.
Ditto.
The question everyone was waiting for. Same for me, by the way. And you know what? Honestly, I've done this. Wait, with the 9th graders, I forgot to ask them. I'm pretty sure they're both going to go on.
I can speak for Rachel.
You can speak for Rachel. I think Gracie is. I think she's going to continue to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. Thank you again for coming and making the time to talk to us and encourage.
Thanks for having
the little
us.
Yes,
community.
thank you.
I always have fun on these things. So that is it for the 11th grade roundtable discussion. I had so much fun recording this episode. I hope you had fun listening to it and you were encouraged and inspired. I am super excited to start next year. And if I had to wrap this episode up, I think I would say that for 11th grade, what I have learned the most and what these girls have shared is that dual enrollment is one of the best opportunities we have in 11th grade. So if you can, take advantage of that in any way possible. Some of my friends were doing 2 classes a semester. I was doing 1. I did 1 in my fall semester, 1 in my spring semester. It worked out wonderfully. It got me ready. And then this year for my senior year, I am planning on doing 2 in each semester, or at least in the first semester. I don't know. It might prove that. And I also don't want to take away from the actual high school experience and start doing college too much. So there's always this balance between when you're taking a dual enrollment class. But I highly recommend, as Audrey said, jumping on the dual enrollment bandwagon. All of that to say, enjoy your junior year. Have fun with it. If you can, do dual enrollment. And it's kind of just like a hodgepodge of all of these different types of learning. At least that was my experience. And I think I had the most fun in 11th grade so far. So I hope you have a similar experience. We have 1 more week of this series, and I have invited a friend of mine, Anastasia, who has been on multiple times, and she is going to share her experience in her senior year. I also have interviewed 2 other seniors who will also be sharing their experience in the upcoming weeks. Really exciting. I have a college admission episode coming up too, so if you're kind of concerned or thinking about it, this is your senior year, and you're kind of like, oh, I have to, do homeschoolers get into college? Anastasia is going to share all about that in the college admission episode. So a lot of exciting things to stay tuned for. But before we leave, I'm not doing a question of the episode. So if you were looking forward to that, I'm sorry. It'll be back. I promise. I am doing a shout out period, a little segment right now, because I've been very nostalgic recently, because last year in July, it was the first time I ever thought about doing a podcast, and I just started talking about it with my family and running by ideas, and so it's kind of been a year that this podcast has existed, at least in my brain. I didn't publish my first episode until November, because these things take time, and I was a little scared, but it's kind of been a nostalgic time, and I just have a few shout outs that I need to make, because these people have pretty much brought me here. So I just have to shout out my Uncle Alex for a minute here. He has listened to every single episode that I have posted, and he always sends me a note of encouragement after he listens, things that he has learned from the episode, and I really, really value his opinion, because he is not connected to the homeschooling community except through us. So this is kind of like my outside opinion, and the things that he learns are exactly what I want people to learn from these episodes. So I cannot thank him enough for the valuable encouragement that he gives me. And then also all of my family, they were the ones who pitched in to get me this equipment to be able to do it. They have been my number one supporters since the beginning. My mom has been on so many episodes. My sister has also been on a lot of episodes, and she is always so encouraging. They listen and they send me advice and they send me encouragement, my father as well. So I just really wouldn't be here without my family and the encouragement that they give me. So just a moment to thank them. And then every single guest that I've had on so far. We have my mother, who was the very first interviewee on my podcast. Then we have Naomi, who was my first friend. She was the trailblazer for all the interviews. So thank you so much for Naomi. And then also we have my sister, who's been a supporter of me since I started talking about this and dreaming about it back in last year in last July. Then we have Grace, who has been on the podcast I don't even know how many times, and she has 2 episodes that haven't even come out yet. So thank you so much to Grace for always being ready and able to be on the podcast. And to Abigail and Rebecca for being the sisters on the podcast and sharing your perspective on homeschooling. Such a valuable interview. I enjoyed that thoroughly. And I know you guys had a pretty long drive, so thank you so much for being here. We also have Anastasia and Dora, more sisters who have been so faithful and being on the podcast and always being willing. I text you guys and you're always like, yeah, sure, we would love to. So I cannot thank you enough for all of the wisdom you have shared and so much laughs. And I have so much fun every time we interview together. And then we also have Audrey, who, her testimony, you've been on the podcast twice and always ready to share. Same thing. Everyone that I've had on has always been so willing to share and give up their time to talk to us. We also have Lydia for sharing her experience as a homeschool graduate, and it was so encouraging to me, especially entering my senior year. And she is so busy with her nursing degree and just all her studying she has to do, and she took the time to come and sit with us. I couldn't be more grateful. For Gracie and Rachel for coming out and talking about your 9th grade experience. For Dora and Grace again for coming and talking 10th grade. And then we have today Hannah and Audrey coming out for 11th grade, and then in future we have Annie as well talking about 12th. So all of this to say, they have been so influential in building this podcast to where it is, and I have so much exciting news to share that I will share in the upcoming weeks of new opportunities I've been given, and I'm grateful for everyone who has agreed to be interviewed, and it's just really, really exciting. So stick around to see all that. But I just wanted to thank the foundation that all of these people have invested into this podcast. And it's a community. That's what I wanted. And I can see this community growing, and it's just beautiful. So thank you. I cannot thank you enough for putting up with all the scheduling issues that we've had over the summer, and then just taking time to talk. And this was a little pipe dream of mine, and now it has grown into a podcast that, has been helping people. So thank you so much. Thank you, listeners. I shout out to the listeners too, because I wouldn't be a podcast without you guys. So, I've been feeling all the feels lately, and I just needed to share that with you all. Thank you again for every single listen, every single text of support, every single interview that I have had. Yeah, there is a lot of fun things coming, but we wouldn't be going there without the foundation that these people have invested. So, again, I cannot thank you enough. And I hope that this podcast continues to be as encouraging as always. If you have any questions on anything we talked about today, feel free to email me. My email, as always, is linked below, hshighschoolpodcast@gmail.com. And then connect with us over at social media, Facebook, Instagram, and I now have a YouTube channel. So that is also linked below if you want to check out that. And as always, stay curious, my friends, and we will see you again for the final episode of How to Homeschool series next week. Stay tuned for that. Bye.